Hormuz is open for business, but not for attackers. Iran's clever twist: Strait of Hormuz open to the world, but strictly off limits for US, Israel, and their allies amid oil crisis.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel Maz Reporter. Today's top global news is that recently the world's most important oil highway suddenly became a political gate, where some ships are allowed through, but others are turned away. That is exactly what is happening right now in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran says the strait is open for business, but not for attackers. Ships from many countries can pass, but tankers linked to the United States, Israel, and their allies could be blocked. So what is really going on in this critical global choke point? And how could this affect fuel prices, global trade, and millions of people around the world? Let's break it down.
Why the Strait of Hormuz matters. First, we need to understand why the Strait of Hormuz is so important. This narrow waterway sits between Iran and Oman. At its narrowest point, it is only about 21 miles wide. But despite its small size, it carries about one-fifth of the world's oil supply. Every day, massive oil tankers travel through this route carrying energy from the Middle East to the rest of the world. Oil from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates passes through this corridor. Without it, global energy markets could face serious disruption. That's why the Strait of Hormuz is often called the world's most important oil choke point.
How the crisis started. The current crisis began in late February 2026. The United States and Israel launched airstrikes on Iranian targets. Some of these strikes reportedly hit military facilities and energy infrastructure. One important location mentioned was Karg Island, a key hub for Iran's oil exports. Iran condemned the attacks and promised retaliation. Soon after, Iranian forces increased their military presence around the Strait of Hormuz. This created immediate fears across global shipping and energy markets.
Panic in global shipping. Once tensions escalated, shipping companies began to panic. Many tanker operators stopped sailing through the strait. Insurance companies raised war risk premiums dramatically. Some vessels refused to enter the area at all. As a result, traffic through the strait dropped sharply. Ships that normally used the route started taking a much longer path around Africa through the Cape of Good Hope. This added weeks of travel time and much higher costs. And that disruption started pushing oil prices higher.
Iran's strategic announcement. Then came a surprising announcement from Iran. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi clarified the country's position. He said the Strait of Hormuz is not completely closed. Instead, Iran says it is selectively restricting access. According to Araghchi, the Strait of Hormuz is open. It is only closed to ships belonging to our enemies and those attacking us. In other words, neutral countries can still pass through, but ships linked to hostile countries could be blocked. This message directly challenged earlier reports claiming Iran had shut the strait entirely.
India's ships pass through. There is already one example showing how this selective policy works. Two LPG carriers from India successfully crossed the Strait of Hormuz in March 2026. The ships, called Shivalik and Nanda Devi, were transporting liquefied petroleum gas. Together, they carried about 92,700 metric tons of LPG. That's enough cooking fuel for millions of households. The ships passed safely after diplomatic coordination between India and Iran. Their destination was Port Sain, Gujarat. This showed that some countries can still move energy supplies through the strait.
Iran's strategic game. Experts believe Iran's strategy is very deliberate. Instead of closing the strait completely, Iran is trying to apply selective pressure. Friendly or neutral countries may still trade, but countries involved in military action against Iran could face restrictions. This allows Iran to maintain trade relationships with major buyers like China and India. At the same time, it creates economic pressure on Western nations. Some analysts call this a divide and rule strategy. Iran can punish its enemies without triggering a global backlash.
The strait is still dangerous. Even though Iran says the strait is open to many ships, the area remains extremely dangerous. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, known as the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, has increased patrols in the region. There have been reports of naval mines, drones, and missile threats. Ships passing through the area face constant uncertainty. Because of these risks, many shipping companies are still avoiding the route. Major operators like Maersk and Hapag-Lloyd have continued rerouting vessels away from the strait.
Oil prices surge. The instability in the Strait of Hormuz quickly affected global energy markets. Oil prices jumped sharply. Brent crude rose above $100 per barrel. Before the conflict, it had been trading closer to the $70 range. Higher oil prices affect almost everything. Gasoline becomes more expensive, airline tickets go up, shipping costs increase, and the price of many everyday products rises as well.
The American response: the United States has responded strongly. President Donald Trump called for an international naval coalition. The goal is to protect shipping lanes and keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Washington has asked several countries to participate. These include France, Japan, South Korea, and the United Kingdom, but many nations are cautious. Sending warships into the region could escalate the conflict even further. Some governments prefer limited support, such as mine-clearing drones rather than full military involvement.
Economic chess. At its core, this crisis is not just about military power, it is also about economic leverage. By controlling access to the Strait of Hormuz, Iran holds influence over a critical global trade route. The United States and its allies want to ensure that energy supplies remain unrestricted. This has turned the situation into a geopolitical chess match. Each move affects global trade, diplomacy, and security.
Conclusion: for now, the Strait of Hormuz remains technically open. But the situation is fragile and unpredictable. Ships from neutral countries may pass, others may be blocked. And the risks remain high for everyone involved. The decisions made in this narrow waterway could influence global energy markets, international diplomacy, and the daily lives of millions of people. Because when the Strait of Hormuz is unstable, the ripple effects travel far beyond the Middle East. They reach gas stations, factories, and homes around the entire world.
If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel Maz Reporter, and share it so more people understand what's really happening in the Strait of Hormuz. And stay tuned for more deep dive global analysis.